All right, class, in our next tutorial, we are going to learn how to insert images into a web page. What I've done is I've gone onto the web and I've just done a Google search for boxer puppies, my favorite dog. And once I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and save a picture. So let me find the best picture. Let me find a great picture. How can you not love that? So we click on View Image, and I'm going to save the image. Now, before we do that, one thing I recommend, if you're using a picture that you find online, which when we get into copyright issues, you need to be very careful of that. But for the purposes of just classroom activities, I don't mind if we go out and find just pictures to use for class. When you find a picture, Google, if you do a Google image search, is going to give you a small thumbnail version of that picture. And if you were to save this picture, it would save the small thumbnail version. You can always take a large picture and shrink it down, but you can't take a small picture and blow it up. So you always want to make sure that you click on the picture and get the largest version of the picture, or something that you know that you can use. So I'm just going to save this one right here. Click on View Image, and it shows me the full-size picture. So I'm going to save image as, and I am saving it in my desktop where I have my web development folder. Now this is very important. Please pay attention to this. When you are inserting images into a website, into a web page as part of a website, everything has to be organized together. Okay, this tutorial picks up where the last one left off, where we are creating a new website inside of our Photo Gallery 1 folder. All right, so what we have to make sure that we do is that we save the picture inside Photo Gallery 1. Okay. In addition to that, I'm going to make a new folder inside of Photo Gallery 1. I'm going to call it Images. It's just a good way to organize your work. And what you'll find is in web development, organization is key. Okay, so inside of my Photo Gallery 1 folder, I've made a folder called Images, which is where all of my images are going to go. Now, this picture is called Valley Bulldog Puppies, English Bulldog Boxer Hybrid, Lucy. Now, that's a long one to remember, so I'm just going to call it Puppy, or Puppy 1. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And now when I come back into Notepad, I'm going to insert the picture. Let me come back here so you can see the page that I'm working on. And also, if I go into my Photo Gallery 1 folder now, because I've made that new folder, I have my index page right here. Inside of it is an images folder, and inside that images folder is Puppy 1. Now you may or may not see the .jpeg on it, but this is a JPEG file. Okay, it's an image file. We'll get into file types a little bit more later on, but this is an image file, so you have to make sure that when you insert the image, you put the .jpeg on the end of it. All right, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to delete the hello world, and instead I'm going to put the image tag. So this is a new tag that you're learning. You will want to write this down in your notes. I'm creating an image tag, IMG, so that stands for image. And another nice thing about Notepad++ is when you start typing in tags, because it's created to develop basic web page, it will show you, oh, here's the tag. So this is another way that you can kind of help yourself to know that you're doing it right. Now, if we were to just put in an image by itself, an image tag, it wouldn't load a picture because it doesn't know which picture to load. So we have to tell it with SRC. SRC stands for source. So the image, the source of that image equals, and then we're going to put the file path to the picture. Now you'll notice that after the equal sign, Notepad++ went ahead and put in quotation marks for us. That's great. It saves us a little bit of a headache. So the path to that picture is images / puppy 1. All right. Now at the end of it, I'm going to put space / and a closing bracket. Okay. Now you might look at that and go, well, where's the closing image tag? This is a different kind of tag. You have opening and closing tags most of the time, but you're going to have a few tags that are called self-closing tags. That's what this is. You don't close an image tag. If you have an opening and a closing tag, that suggests that you have to wrap that tag around something. Well, an image is just something that you embed into a page. So for that purpose, you don't have to have an opening and a closing tag. We just have one tag. Okay, when you just have one tag or a self-closing tag, which is what this is called, we close it with a slash and then our bracket, and there is a space right there. So space slash bracket. Can you get away with it without the space slash? Yeah, it should still work, but it's not the most up-to-date version. It's not the most up-to-date code. So you want to make sure that we learn it the right way. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and just save my page. So Control S, come back here, and I'm going to refresh. Now what you'll see is that that is broken. It does not work. And believe it or not, I did do that on purpose, because what I want you to see is that the path is not correct. Remember, I told you that the name of this file is not puppy1, it's puppy1.jpg. So I'm going to save it again. So Control S, now come back and refresh, and now the picture loads. So that is how you create that's how you embed an image. All right. There's one last thing I need to show you. You'll notice that the file path is images/puppy1.jpg. This is the most common mistake that students will make when we're learning web development. The path is how you find the picture from the page that you are on. Let me repeat that. It's how you find the picture from the page that you're on. So if I go into Photo Gallery 1 folder, I'm on my index page. That's what I'm typing my code in. It's on my index page. So from my index page, how do I find the picture of the puppy? I'm going to go into Images, and then I see puppy1.jpg. So this right here, the image source says from where I am. I'm going to go into a folder called Images, and then we have a slash that says we're going into that folder, and then this is the file that I'm going to look for. Okay. If we spell it wrong, pup1, and save it, we're going to find that it does not work. It has to be spelled correctly. Remember that a computer is a dumb machine. It just does what you tell it to. If you tell it to look for pup1 when the file is called puppy1, it's not going to work. Also, you want to make sure that we always use lowercase letters when we're saving our files. If you use an uppercase letter when you name your files, or if you save it as a lowercase word, but you use uppercase letters, it will still work when you preview it here, but when you upload it to the web, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, the HTTP protocol, does not allow you to do that. So you have to name it correctly. So for that reason, I tell you always use lowercase letters when you're naming your files for web use. It's just so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to make it lowercase. And again, it's going to work regardless on your computer, but once you upload it to the web, the HTTP takes over. Those protocols kick in, and it won't allow you to do it then. So that is how you embed an image. Now, there are a couple of more things I want to go over. Within this image tag, we can add a couple of options. One, we can add what's called alternate text. ALT equals, and we're going to type in bulldog puppy. I know I said we were looking for boxer puppies, but that was in there with it. Alt equals bulldog puppy. So I'm going to go ahead and save this again, Control S, then come back and refresh it. Now, you shouldn't notice anything different. All right, you're probably not going to see anything different, but the alternate text is very important, because when I did a search for that puppy, how did Google know that that was a picture of a puppy? Of a boxer puppy, which wasn't quite right. That's because the alternate text that somebody put on this picture told the browser that it was a bulldog puppy. All right, so that's very important. Alternate text is very important for search engine purposes, because search engines can't look at a picture and tell what it is. But if you put alternate text on there, it can tell based on that. So alt equals bulldog puppy. Now the last one I'm going to show you is width equals, and then let's say I want to make it 1,000. And I'm going to save that again. We can also, within the tag, tell what size we want it to be. Now that's going to be 1,000 pixels, and remember there are 72 to 96 pixels in an inch depending on your monitor resolutions and whether you're using a Mac or a PC. So width of 1,000. Now if we come back here and refresh again, you're going to see that it makes the width of the picture 1,000 pixels. So it blows that picture up. Okay. Now you'll also notice if you take a small picture and blow it up, it starts to get blurry and grainy. So that's another reason why I recommend you start with large pictures, which you can always shrink down. All right. So we have width of 1,000. Also, notice that when I specified the width, it kept the picture in proportion. It didn't stretch it out. We can also specify a height. Let's make a height of 100. So you have an option of doing either. You can give it a width or a height. And so notice we have a height of 100, so it's a much smaller picture. And then finally, we can use both. Let's say we want it to be a width of 300 and a height of 100. You can do that, but I recommend you don't do that because watch what happens. It stretches it out. Now it turns it into a wiener dog puppy. All right, and that's not what we want. So I recommend that you either use a width or a height, but don't use both. So if I just put in a width of 300 again, save it, and refresh, now we have that. Okay, so that is how to insert an image, how to give it alternate text, and how to specify the size of that image, the width or the height. Okay, and lastly, we know that we have to have a correct path to the image. Right? If the image is in the same folder as the exact same folder as the page that you're inserting it in, you don't need to specify the images / subfolder. You just say puppy1.jpg. Okay, but because of the fact that we put it in a subfolder, we have to put images right there before it. So that's how you insert an image. I want you to go ahead and move on to the next part.